Good evening, fellow West Ham United fans, and welcome back to Iron United. Just yesterday, we witnessed the mighty Hammers get a massive 3 points away at Stoke City, a massive 3-0 away victory. So many positives to take, but let's not get carried away because we have the small matter of a London derby against Arsenal on Tuesday night in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. I'm joined by Stel. I'm Rich Stel. Stel, before we get into the Arsenal preview, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Stoke City result. Obviously, I've spoken to Ant in the review. Both of us were buzzing. Mate, what did you make of the performance? How do you think we played? What positives can we take into the Arsenal game?
Well, plenty. A great result, a good away win. The one thing that was very noticeable was all of a sudden we've become like most other half-decent Premiership teams where we've got a fast counter-attack, which we've been missing all season. As soon as we got the ball, we started to look dangerous, and it was great to see. Moyes' tactical nous is really paying off. He's moved players to positions that seem to suit them. They seem to be thriving, and it was great. It was a bit nail-biting until we got the second goal. It made me wonder if Stoke had scored, how would we have responded? But to actually go out there and win 3-0 and having it look quite comfortable in the end was superb. Yeah, and some great performances.
No, absolutely. I think Ant and I spoke about it in the review. For once, we looked like, well, actually, in the last couple of games, and credit to David Moyes, the players look like they have a game plan, and they followed it down to a T at the Bet365 Stadium. But a lot of people have been singing the praises of David Moyes. What do you think has been the real catalyst, the change for West Ham? Because obviously under Bilic, it got really toxic towards the end. But under Moyes, things have changed. What do you think has been the catalyst for our performances, especially the Chelsea-Arsenal game? Is it just Moyes? Have the players stepped up? What's been the real change and catalyst for us?
I said this last time I was on. I think he's kept his word. He's basically said, if you're not going to graft, if you're not going to put the effort in, you're not going to be in the team. And I think he's kept his word there. He's now played the same players for 3 games, apart from a suspension, etc. But on the whole, he's got the same players because he's put trust in them. He's beginning to believe in them, and they're clearly believing in what he does. I think that's the main catalyst. He's been true to his word. He's turned around and said, "You put the effort in, you're going to play. If you don't put the effort in, you'll be a forgotten man." And it's interesting that he's turned players around. Players that everybody was moaning about not more than 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. People are now saying, Ogbonna, he's back to being a defender again. Creswell is back to being a defender again. We've got pace up front, etc., etc. Clearly, we hear an awful lot about training, and clearly that's paying off as well. So that must be a catalyst for actually having gotten the team to be fitter. They looked fitter like yesterday.
Yeah.
They actually looked like when Arnautovic. I didn't actually realise Arnautovic was so fast.
He's got pace.
He's got pace, and it was really, really good to see because in the first few games under Bilic, Arnautovic looked quite slow and tired and didn't seem to want to run for the ball. Yesterday, he was doing what we expect Antonio to do. The ball goes forward and off he goes for it, and that's excellent. So the training, obviously, and Moyes sticking to his word and saying, if you're going to fight for it, you're going to play. And that's excellent. That's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you mentioned, he's been stern with some big personalities, the likes of Arnautovic. And I'm not sure, I'm going to sound controversial here, but I'm not sure if Bilic was able to handle those big personalities. He's almost too nice in a way. I feel like Moyes is the type of man that's not going to take any shit. He says it how it is. As you mentioned, if you don't pull your weight, you're not going to play. And that's something he's brought to the table from day one. He's not been scared to take risks. He's not been scared to drop players. The likes of, obviously now Mark Noble's coming, and you and me have been some of his biggest critics in the weeks past, and people have had a go at me for that, but I've held my hands up and I've said no, it's been excellent. Declan Rice has come in, and I thought he was fantastic against Stoke. Is he a type of player that you'd like to see playing against Arsenal on Tuesday? Who from that performance against Stoke would you like to see carried into the Arsenal game on Tuesday?
It's going to be interesting who he's going to play on Tuesday, because he's going to have one eye on Newcastle. He's going to want to keep the momentum going in the league, and you clearly know that Hart's going to play, because that's what most managers do. They'll play one keeper in the league and one keeper in the cup games. I reckon Rice will play, but in terms of who do I don't know. I'm probably going to piss a lot of fans off by saying I'd rather keep most of the players that played yesterday. I'd rather keep them fresh for next Saturday. But it looks like Noble's out. It looks like Chiarti's still not back. He probably won't play Antonio. You can see Arnie getting a run. You'll certainly see Hernandez getting a run. You'll probably get Sacco getting a run out. Zabaleta apparently has got a knock, so we're going to have to see how that goes. So we might have a problem on the right side of defence. He'll probably put Masuaku in because he's got a lot of energy. So it's gonna be interesting. But being selfish and wanting to keep the momentum, I hope he rests a lot of the big players that played yesterday. I hope he rests them and gives some of the fringe players a run out. But who's the fringe player now? Because yesterday in the team, we were talking a lot about players that seemed they weren't up for it, and we would never have even let them play in the league, let alone play in the cup. So it's going to be interesting. But I reckon Rice will start, definitely. I reckon Hernandez will start, definitely. He's
go for it, mate.
No, and my favourite player, of course, Joe Hart will be in goal.
Of course, mate. Yeah, he's got a slight problem because he doesn't know whether to throw everything at this cup competition. Obviously, all West Ham fans would love a trophy. If you don't, who wouldn't want to win the Carabao Cup? It's a massive trophy. It's a competition I feel like we can really get far in. But he has a conundrum. Do we focus on the league? Obviously, you've spoken about the momentum that we've really carried in these last few league games. I'd like to see us keep that up. A player you haven't mentioned earlier is Andre Ayew, and that was a player that under Bilic towards the end of Bilic's reign, I felt like Ayew came to the fore just a little bit because he wasn't really anywhere at the beginning of the season. Towards the end, he really lifted up his game. You just have to look at the Spurs' performance away from home at Wembley. I think against Arsenal, it's the type of game where we're going to sit back. You know what Moyes is going to do is we're going to be as compact as possible, play on the break, and we showed how well we did it against Stoke. I think we could have had 6 or 7 if Arnautovic had buried more of his chances. But obviously, we've already played Arsenal in the league, but obviously it's a completely different proposition. A 0-0 draw, positives to take. What did you take from that Arsenal game in the league? Can we carry anything into the cup game?
I think the obvious thing is that we don't have to go. We don't have to be afraid of them. We know that they, on their day that they can hurt us, but we've played them now, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Interestingly, they probably are going to be as wary. They're going to be probably wary of us. We almost nicked it against them last week when Hernandez hit the bar, and I think we can carry that into the cup game. I don't think we can go there and we can give it a shot. That's the beauty of a cup competition. You've got one shot at it. So if there's nothing there to stop us from, of course we're going to defend, and we know Moyes is going to sort of, make sure that bit's solid. But we've got nothing to be afraid of, and we can go for it. You mentioned Ayew. I forgot Ayew. Yeah, he'll play. I'm sure he will. There's a number of players that didn't play or weren't picked for the team, for the squad, and they'll definitely be brought in. We've got when you think about it, you got Sacco, Hernandez, even Carroll, Ayew. There's quite a lot of attacking prowess there. So I think attack-wise, we might do okay. But defensive-wise, I agree. He's gonna batten down the hatches. But we don't have to be afraid of him. That's what we need to take into the game on Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can take a lot of positives from that 0-0 draw we got at the London Stadium. We've shown that we can match up to the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. We don't have to be afraid. We can go to the Emirates with nothing to lose, really, in my opinion. We can go there and really express ourselves. The fans are going to be fantastic. They're going to be there in their numbers again. And I'm almost certain that Wenger will go with a very similar side that he put out in the Europa League. You're going to see the likes of Theo Walcott coming back. Giroud will probably play. And I felt like we handled him really well when he did start at the London Stadium. So it'll be very interesting to see what side David Moyes goes with. But going into your predictions for the game, what do you reckon? What do you reckon we're going to get at the Emirates? Putting you on the spot here, mate.
I think we're going to nick it. I think we're going to nick it. I think if we score a goal and then batten down the hatches, I think we could come away with a win there. Because if we do the same as what we did against them last week and what we did against Chelsea and just frustrate them, I mean, Arsenal were getting frustrated against us last week. You know, they couldn't break through, and if they're going to play a similar game. The interesting thing is, if they're going to play a similar game, they're trying to play it through us. We're going to be solid. We're going to hold them off. If Wenger tries to change the game and tries to get wingers in and crosses in, we've got Ogbonna, Collins, Reed if he's back, Rice. We've got big defenders who can clear the ball away quite easily. So I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting. He might change tactics. He might bring on the likes of Walcott, etc. But I think we're going to. I know everyone's probably laughing, but I think we're going to nick it. I really do. It'll be a goal, but I think we will nick it.
I'm absolutely with you. I've got a strange feeling that we're going to go there and get something. I mean, we thought we wouldn't have a sniff against Spurs at Wembley, and we managed to get a result there. So, you know what? Screw it. We're going to go to the Emirates. I think we're going to nick it. It's going to be a very tough game, of course, but I feel as though the players seem to step up for London derbies. We love a London derby, as us West Ham players do.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think we're going to go there. We're going to really express how to get the result. Let's throw something out here. Let's try and. I want to get your thoughts. I want you to try and predict our starting 11 for that game. Just guard on one. Who do you think should start that game from keeper all the way through? Let's just go. Let's start. Okay, so I think Joe Hart will start in goal because obviously Adrian's been playing league football.
Yeah.
Do we go 5 at the back? Because 5 at the back has worked feet. It really has. What do you think?
It works, but I think it really does depend on who we've got available.
Do you reckon we go 5 at the back?
I think we probably will. I think we'll go with wing backs again, and you've got a selection, haven't you? So it depends on who's available, but I think you're right. Rice will play. Whether he plays in midfield or defence, I think that depends on whether Collins will play to get his match fitness up. That's for sure. We'll probably keep up Bonner, and if Reed is back, I think Reed will play, and then Rice will play in midfield. He'll keep Masuaku and Creswell. Actually, no. Will he keep? Maybe he'll rest one of those if he plays. If he plays Reed, Ogbonna, and Collins at the back, he may play either or Creswell or Masuaku.
Yeah.
But it's the right side. If Zabaletta's not fit, apparently Fernandes isn't fit either. I wouldn't know who he'd want to start on the right side. But you can see his name's gone. Rice. You can see Rice playing in the middle. Definitely Ayew. Definitely Hernandez. And probably Sacco as well up front. So that leaves a couple more spaces, and I'm running out. He'll probably put some youngsters on. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that was a shit answer, wasn't it, to your 11?
No, mate. I think you've done well there. I think you've done well. The problem is we honestly don't know. We have no idea. Moyes could literally throw anyone out, whether he plays youth or he goes with experience. My only problem is at right back. If Zabaleta isn't fit or is struggling, and Fernandes is out, we literally don't have a right back at this present point in time. So that's going to be a makeshift position. We might have to switch around our defence. I personally go with the back 5 because I think that's really worked a treat for us. 3 centre backs, 2 wing backs. I'd like to see Masuaku play at right back. I have no idea who's going to play. absolutely no idea. But I'd like to see Rice in the middle. I think he's got to play. He's shown his class. He's shown that experience head. I thought he was phenomenal against Stoke. He came on, didn't panic on the ball, was happy to hold it up, spread it wide, get other players involved. Going forward, the one thing I was skeptical with Moyes about was the Stoke game. I felt like we had to start with the centre forward up front. I just feel like Antonio is being run to the ground. He's being played out of position. He's really struggling. I think just to lighten his workload and give the players an out ball, I think the likes of Saka or Hernandez has to start. Whether he goes with two up front, we honestly have no idea. But yeah, I'd like to see him get some youth, and he's shown a lot of faith with some youngsters and Rice coming through. I'd like to see the likes of Martinez get a chance, even though he's been benched and now we haven't seen him much. What have you made of Moyes in terms of youth in comparison to Bilic? I know it's still early days.
What he's done is what Moyes has done in different to Bilic with youth is he's embraced them. He's tried to include them. Even though most of the youngsters haven't really had much of a chance to play apart from Rice. The Moyes has he's brought them in and he's embraced them. He's not sort of kept the under-23s to their own. He said, he's picked out a number of players. We were always seeing subs. There was Masaki he was one of the subs yesterday. He's quite happy to say to them, look, you're good enough. Look how far you've got. You're good enough. You may not start, but you're part of the first team. You're part of the squad. You're going to be a sub. And I think that's really good. I think that gives them confidence, and it puts them on alert. He'll turn around and say, you could be on. If there's a player injured in your position, I'll bring you on and I'll play you. And I think that's a really good thing with what Moyes has done. He's given them confidence to think that they're not far from knocking on that door. And it was said a few times before. It also puts the senior players on alert. They can't now be complacent. They can't turn around and think, this position's mine, no matter how crap I play. They're now thinking, hang on a minute, that youngster over there, he can play in my position. If I'm not going to do right, he'll take my place, or he's going to have the chance. It's a bit like, I know Adrian's not a youngster, but it's a bit like the goalkeeper situation. Adrian was on alert. He was told if you're going to show willing, you're going to, and if Hart drops form, you're going to come in. And it's the same. He's given everybody the same opportunity, and it's good to see. It's good to see that the youngsters are involved, and it must be really quite heartening for them to be put on, to be picked to be put on the bench. That must give them, quite a boost. So good on him. Good on him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think towards the end of Bilic's reign, a lot of players were very comfortable because they almost knew that they were going to start week in, week out, and that was a massive problem. Obviously, because this is a live video, we've got questions coming through. Schizo Bass wants Antonio to be rested. Do you agree with that? I think I certainly would. I think he's knackered. He hasn't looked fit for the last couple of weeks. He's been run to the ground. Give him a rest. Play the likes of Saka and Hernandez.
Yeah. We've got enough cover up the front, and so we don't need to risk Antonio pulling up again with an injury or anything like that, or falling over after 70 minutes of the game. There's no reason why he can't be rested. We've got enough cover up front.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, Schizo Bastia, saying that he wants rotation in all games over the Christmas period. I don't think it's a bad thing personally, because there's a lot of games in a short space of time. I mean, we've played 3 in the last 7-8 days. So it can't be a bad thing, but I just feel as though in our case, especially in the league, we've got to try to be as consistent as possible with team selection when it comes to league to carry on this momentum. Do you think Moyes has got to start rotating? Is there need to start rotating, or should he just stick with it?
Not yet. Stick with it for now, because he's clearly got a formula that's working really, really well. When we have an injury or when we have a suspension, of course he's got to replace a player, and what he's doing is he's trying as best he can to replace like for like. Like when Noble came off yesterday, he put Rice on, same position. He knew exactly what he needed to do, and I think we need to. We're not out of the woods yet. We've only got to lose one game, and we start to all of a sudden we could be slipping down there again. So I don't think he should be rotating just yet. I think he should be picking the players who are in form. He's done that. He's shown that he's got a formula. It's working, and whilst those players are fit, continue with them, because it's working. The rotation can come, the rotation can come for the cup game, the Arsenal game. And once we've sort of get through that, there's a lot of games coming up in the end of this month in January. And I know, players get fatigued, etc. But as much as possible, he should try and stick with the same players. But I agree, the Antonio situation, I think it would do him good to be rested for against Arsenal. I don't even think Antonio will probably even be on the bench, to be honest. I think he'll get full rest and then bring him back if need be for against Newcastle. Absolutely. But you've got other players that will play that position. You've got Hernandez, you've got Sacco, you've got Carroll. They can all play that position, and with Arnautovic and Lanzini feeding just off the back of them, I think we're good there. So no rotation for now, unless it's necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think that this cup game in particular is a game that's really screaming out for Hernandez to really. He's obviously started off all right. He got a couple of goals, had his injury, now he's back, and I feel like it's a game that he can really have a go and really endear himself to the West Ham fans. I've got more questions coming through. Zachary is desperate for a cup win, so wants a strong side out. Okay, so interesting one. A lot of different opinions coming through here. C wants Zaba and Antonio rested and wants Fernandes on the right and Sacco up top. Could well work. I think that's a decent shout.
Who on the right? Fernandes?
Fernandes on the right, Sacco up top.
I don't know if he's fit. I'm not sure if he's fit, but if he is, then that will be quite an obvious choice. But I'm not sure. I think he's been out with an injury. So if he's fit, absolutely. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. I think we've covered pretty much everything. Stel, is there anything you want to add before we wrap up? Any last thoughts? Anything you'd like to say to fellow West Ham fans watching?
I just think it's great. We've, me included, we've given the team a lot of grief, a lot of individual players grief, because of the way they've been playing. But it's great to see, Creswell, Adrian, Ogbonna, Obiang, all playing the way that we know they can. They've all stepped up. Arnautovic now is playing the way we know he can. I can't. I mean, isn't it great to say that I can't fault a player at the moment? And I'm even going to hold my hands up and say even Noble has played well. I've got to admit it, and I know I got slated on Twitter for it a few weeks ago, and I look, all I want is a West Ham team that's going to do well, and if the players are up for it, and clearly Moyes has given them all a new lease of life, because it looks like a fresh new team. We played as since City. City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Stoke. We've played as a unit. And yesterday the added bonus was, as I said, is we've now got pace when we're on the counter attack. Finally, because we've seen other teams doing that to us all season. And how depressing was that? As soon as we lost the ball, they were warm and scoring goals. And now we've started to do that against opposition, and it's wonderful. So long may it rain.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've nailed it on the head there. I've been so fed up of watching the likes of Mohamed Salah tear us apart. That Liverpool game where they absolutely destroyed us on the counter-attack. It's just so refreshing to see that we, as West Ham United, can actually also do that to teams. Screw you, Stoke City. We hammered you on the counter-attack. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And couldn't have happened to a bigger dickhead. I said it in the review. I can't stand Mark Hughes. So I'm absolutely buzzing that we got that 3-0 win. My word, I can't stand the man. Before we end off, I'd just like to say Orange United have been running an auction for the last couple of weeks in aid of Isla, a young 3-year-old girl with a rare child cancer, neuroblastoma, very similar to what Sunderland fan Bradley Lowry had. And I can confirm that we've managed to raise £350 signed shirts. So credit to all West Ham United fans. Thank you guys so much for your support. I think that's fantastic. Whatever we can do to help out, to try and send her to the US for a treatment, I think that's fantastic that we've managed to do our part on a small bit. And yeah, guys, get the awareness going for Isla. Massive West Ham fan, obviously 3 years of age. So may we continue to support this worthy cause. Yeah, and that brings us to the end of our preview. Thank you so much, Stel, for joining me. It's been fantastic.
My pleasure.
Chatting
My
to you.
pleasure.
And may the mighty Claret and Blue do the business at the Emirates. I know the West Ham fans will be there in their numbers. Safe journey. I know it's a tiny travel journey, but safe journey, lads. Have fun, and may we get the results. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.